Hello everyone, new week, new questions. Let's just get started, shall we? First of all, a couple of questions about the 5.4 trailer, starting with Nobel. You have probably seen the 5.4 trailer, which looked awesome. I was curious about your opinion of the trailer and how you think things like the Heart of Yasharaj, sorry for the spelling, will affect future lore. Keep up the great vids. I thought that the trailer was epic, especially the daddy joke Taran Zhu throws in. How much balls does the monk have when you face a badass like Garrosh and you dare to talk about his father like that? Somebody already asked me how did Taran Zhu know about his father. Well, Taran Zhu has been interacting with both Alliance and Horde, so it's very possible that one of them told them about Garrosh's past. I originally thought that they were going to make Vol'jin pierce the heart of Yasharaj with an arrow, because Vol'jin had promised Garrosh that he would pierce his heart with an arrow, and I thought it would be a very fitting ending, but apparently that didn't happen. Then I thought, well, maybe Garrosh will absorb all the power of the heart and it will just disappear after the encounter. Apparently that doesn't happen either, so I'm not entirely sure what they're planning with the heart. It's very possible that Garrosh absorbed so much power that it's now powerless, that it won't whisper anymore, but with old gods, that doesn't seem likely, so it's anyone's guess what they're going to do with it. If Taran Zhu would have fought Garrosh somewhere else than on the bridge, like on one of the arenas, would he be able to kill him then? Because then he would not have gotten stuck, you know, like a fair game. Well, it raised the question, of course, what kind of a monk gets his foot stuck in a bridge? When I was watching the trailer, that was one of the first ideas that came into my head. And Taran Zhu isn't just any monk. I believe he's one of the first of the Shadow Pen, and those are the best of the best that are out there. Would he have won from Garrosh on a same field, in the same arena? No. Because that would defeat the purpose of the trailer. How lame would it be if a single Pandaren would be able to kick Garrosh's butt? What's the point in sending both the Rebellion and Alliance if one monk can take him out? That would make no sense. So just for the trailer, there's no way that he would have won. And don't forget, Taran Zhu was still recovering from his near-death experience on the Isle of Thunder. Now put these two characters in an arena, both fully healed up, both with their weapons and stuff like that. Well, then it's an entirely different fight, and it would be very difficult to decide who would win. In Vol'jin, Shadows of the Horde, Taran Zhu was such a badass that nobody could touch him. But then again, Garrosh is so powerful that it needs both the Alliance and the Rebellion to take him out. So it's very difficult to decide who would win a match in that kind of a setup. Did Taran Zhu die when he fought against Garrosh on the 5.4 trailer? No, he did not. Apparently being a Pandaren, you're nice and fed and all, that gives you an increased resistance to being impaled by an axe. So no, he did not die after the trailer. Now those are the questions about the trailer, and the next one is going to need some translation because it's been sent in Dutch. Now for you guys, could you perhaps make a video in Dutch on a second channel if you have to? It's not that I don't understand English, it's just that Dutch is easier to understand for me. By the way, what's the reason that you left the realm Skullcrusher? Might be for the best though, since it's pretty dead by now. I left the realm Skullcrusher way back when, because I decided to quit the game. I sold my account, which at the time even fetched a pretty penny, and I decided to quit. I returned in the Burning Crusade, and I believe most of the people that I used to play with, they already moved on. So for me, the Skullcrusher server didn't offer that much, so I decided to start somewhere else, somewhere fresh, somewhere new, on the Hellfire server. So no, it was not because the server was dead, because back then it was still very active and very populated. It was because I quit the game. About making videos in Dutch, I've been toying with the idea for a while now, and I might still do it, but at least for now I'm not going to. The main reason is that I think watching videos in English is actually good for you. Even with my crappy English, it's still good for you. The reason why I can speak English and understand English on the level that I am right now is because when I was a little nobble, I used to watch The Bold and the Beautiful with my grandmother. And I desperately wanted to know what the hell the people were saying, so I started, even at a young age, I started to link the subtitles to the words that they were saying. Later, that basic English information got formed by watching TV on my own, listening to music, playing online, and eventually I've reached the point where I am now. Now my English isn't perfect, not by a long shot, but it wouldn't be where I am today if all those shows were dubbed into Dutch. They started doing this a couple of years ago, and I think it's a really bad development. Now what I can do is add subtitles to the videos, and when I get the time I'll definitely start working on that, but at the moment I'm a little bit busy. A very nice person, who goes by the name of Fairy the Beloved, from the Brotherhood Guild on the Astralon server, which is quite a mouthful, she has offered to make subtitles for her guildies, which is just mind-blowingly nice, so thank you so much for doing this. Her guildies speak Portuguese, and they had a hard time understanding me, so she's currently making subtitle files that I can upload to the videos. If there are more people out there that want to do this for the guildies or for their fellow countrymen or whatnot, you can always send me the files over on Facebook and I'll upload it to the video. So long story short, for now the videos are staying in English. When I have the time, I'll see if I can add Dutch or English subtitles. And if there are those out there willing to do it for any other languages, please feel free to send me the files over on Facebook. Yo, Nubble! You probably did or didn't see my comment, and it's basically, hey, I just watched the Polaris podcast and Jesse Cox said that the corruption thing is a stupid storyline. I agree. And then I saw your comment replied by corruption is stupid. Okay, but why did Garrosh become evil? I'm not entirely sure if I understand your question, to be honest. You say that Jesse Cox made a comment that the corruption thing is stupid, to which you agree, and thereto I replied that corruption is stupid. Okay, I'm just going to dismiss that part of the question and I'll focus on why did Garrosh become evil. Garrosh became evil because Garrosh was a bad apple who got too much power. That's the story Blizzard portrays right now, despite our own opinions about it, despite our own speculation. Could they turn around in the future and say, wait guys, he was corrupted, it was a Dreadlord, it was the Shah, it was whatever reason you want to give it? That's always possible, but for now, Garrosh is evil because he's Garrosh. And the reason why they made Garrosh evil is because people didn't like him as the Warchief of the Horde, so they decided to turn him into the character that we see today. That's the reason behind the story. And now when I say evil, that is of course from the perspective of the Alliance and the Rebellion. Like I told you last week, evil is in the eye of the beholder, and it doesn't always have to be that way. If you look at the story from an orc perspective, and I know that there are fans out there who play with that kind of a mindset, then Garrosh is the hero of the Horde. He is a Warchief in the trend of the very first Horde that started their invasion on Azeroth. A Horde who was ruthless and who didn't care about what it took as long as they got what they needed. It wasn't until Doomhammer took control that the Horde started to regain some honor in their combat that they had lost ever since they became the Horde. And it wasn't until Thrall as Warchief, who tried to work towards peace, to earning a place in this world, while still upholding the honor and taking crap from no one. And now with Garrosh, we return to the roots, and some Horde players, they really like those roots of the Horde story, and I really can't blame them. I mean, I want to see Garrosh's head on a spike for what he's done to Fedamore, the sinners of Fedamore, all the things that he has done. But that's because I play on the Alliance side. If you're a Horde player and you like the character that is Garrosh, then I can definitely understand it if you don't see him as a evil bad guy. But yeah, that's the story that's been given. Did you ever try other MMOs besides WoW? I tried most that were said to be the WoW killers, but WoW will always be #1 in my heart. Also, will you play Titan when it releases? My apologies, I'm rambling. Nah, you're not rambling, it's a good question. I played Star Wars Galaxies over the summer before I started playing World of Warcraft. And after World of Warcraft, I tried a couple of them. I've tried Aeon, Lord of the Rings Online, DC Universe Online, a couple of more, but none of them really got my interest. The WoW killer thing, it's getting really old in my opinion, and funny enough, it's most of the times it's that hype around it that actually kills the new MMO before it even had a chance. People place this new game on such high expectations, like whoa, this is going to be the one, so much better than World of Warcraft, that it becomes unrealistic to fulfill those promises. WoW when it started wasn't even a finished game yet, and it gradually got the opportunity to build and become the game that we know today. These days, these MMOs that are actually better than WoW was when it was first released, they don't even get the chance for that. People go in, they expect it to be better than a game that's been running for what, 8 years now, and when it doesn't live up to the promise, they dismiss it. I think the one game that is really going strong is Guild Wars 2, but you can't really place that game in the same selection as World of Warcraft. Now, will I play a Titan? That depends on what kind of a game it will be and if I will like it. It's a little bit soon to tell. As far as I know, it will be a new MMO, but besides that, I really don't know anything about it. So yeah, if I like the game, I will play it, and if not, I won't. These two questions I can do in one go. Who the hell is Gul'dan and why is he a thing? And who was Blackhand actually? I know he was a Warchief, but what is special about him and what's his story? Now Gul'dan, he has a story that deserves a video of his own, so he will get a video one day. But to give you an idea, I'll give you the short version of it. Gil'jaeden found the Draenei and he wanted them dead. Instead of sending the Burning Legion himself, he decided to use the orcs that lived on the planet. He manipulated Ner'zhul, who was a shaman, into forming the Horde and do some very bad things. Ner'zhul would eventually find out that he was being manipulated, but by that time it was far too late. His apprentice Gul'dan had a lust for power and he didn't care what happened to the rest of his people, what happened to the rest of the Horde, as long as he would get his power. Blackhand was the puppet of Gul'dan. Gul'dan manipulated him into believing that he was going to be the big boss of the Horde, but in reality it was Gul'dan with his Shadow Council who pulled the strings and made Doomhammer use the Horde to benefit Gul'dan. The Horde did what Kil'jaeden wanted, which was to kill the Draenei, and Kil'jaeden believed that all the Draenei were dead, so he left the Horde to its fate on a devastated, corrupted, dry planet. The Horde was in trouble now because they had very little water, very little food, and it was Medivh under the control of the Titus Garrosh who contacted Gul'dan and told him about Azeroth and how to build the Black Portal. Azeroth, full of water, life, plenty of humans to kill, Gul'dan saw this as a great plan and salvation for his people. Eventually Warchief Blackhand would lead the Horde in their first invasion of Azeroth, and during the siege of Stormwind, his second in command called Doomhammer took over. Doomhammer had realized, with the help of Thrall his father, that it was actually Gul'dan who was pulling the strings of the Horde, so he killed Blackhand, as was needed to take the title of Warchief, and he set out to restore the honor of the Horde, while still getting them a new world to live in. Eventually, it would once again be the betrayal of Gul'dan that led the Horde to losing the siege at Lordaeron, and pretty much the rest of the war. Now, as I said, Gul'dan's story is pretty big, it's pretty detailed, has lots of names in it, as you can see from this small little part, but I'll definitely make a video on him in one day. This is just a very short version. So long story short, Gul'dan was a manipulative and a very power-hungry orc who didn't care what happened to his people. Blackhand was the puppet of Gul'dan, even though he believed that he was the leader, and he led the orcs into Azeroth and into their first invasion. Is there any reason you don't do PvP? The story is why I play WoW, but I play on a PvP server, and I love to PvP as well. Just not your thing? From Luck on the Darkspear server. The funny thing is, I started playing on a PvP server and I really enjoyed it back in the day. The battles that we had at South Shore were some of the best moments that I've ever had in World of Warcraft. Alliance pushing the Horde back to the mill only to get their butts kicked by the guards. Horde pushing the Alliance back only to hold position until they got bored. Yeah, it was fantastic, great fun. Eventually the battlegrounds came. I believe it started with Alterac Valley, Rafi Basin and Warsong Gulch. And from that moment on, World PvP was, well, kinda gone. You got ganked, of course, in Strangleform Vale as you leveled up. You got the occasional pile-up in Blackrock Mountain. You got people standing on the rooftops at Booty Bay and Tanarys. But overall, World PvP moved to the battlegrounds. You could farm your kills that were required for the title far more efficiently in the battlegrounds, and I believe you also got dishonorable kills if you accidentally killed a guard, so it was much safer to stay in the battlegrounds to get your title. Now don't get me wrong, I was never a star in PvP, and I never achieved to such a high title, because I could never put that much devotion in it. Besides that, the classes, they were even more unbalanced than they are today, and you had a lot of people working together to get those titles, so yeah, all in all, that wasn't my cup of tea. The reason why I don't PvP today is because of several reasons, and the main one is that I'm simply not good enough. I've seen people on YouTube in the arena do some amazing things, and I'll never reach that level. If I watch last BlizzCon, if you could see what kind of players were behind the characters, I'll never reach that kind of devotion. Besides that, doing PvP also drags out the worst in me. I get very competitive. And I'm one of those people that gets very annoyed when someone caps, for example, Iceblood Graveyard in Alterac Valley. And I don't want that amount of frustration when I play in a random battleground. I just want to sit back, relax and enjoy my game. Another reason is that I think PvP is much more about the class, about the team setup and the gear that you have. Although the last patch might have changed that, but overall, the person playing the class should, in my opinion, be the most important factor. Skill over gear, skill over class, skill over team setup. And in my experience, that's just not the case right now. But like I said at the start, no excuses. I don't believe I'm good enough to get to a high level of PvP. Simple as that. Hi there, Noble. First, absolutely love the lore vids. Second, Anduin. He's my favorite NPC right now. He stands for true peace. What are your thoughts on him? Will he lead the Army of Lights? One united nation? Could you share your thoughts and such on him? Heart icon, no homo, ... Anduin Rin, and you might not like this answer, but he is my least favorite character out of all of them. And my main problem with his character is that he's not realistic anymore. The guy has been through so much, and I'm talking through some crazy things. His father got kidnapped, and he had to lead a kingdom at a very young age. His mother got killed by the Defiance Brotherhood by the riots. His grandfather got assassinated by Garona Half Orcan. He himself got kidnapped by Onyxia, by the Horde, by Moira. He's freaking Princess Peach of World of Warcraft. All those things that happened, and there's a long list, all those things should at one point make you believe, okay, the world is not as good as I have it in my mind. The world might not be able to go into the way that I want it to go. Is it noble of him? Is it ambitious of him to try to change the world one person at a time, starting with himself? Sure it is, but at one point it becomes unrealistic. It's as simple as that. Now, if we just take Mist of Pandaria, right? If you look at the events, first of all, his ship got attacked by the Horde, and he crashed on Pandaria, forcing the Alliance to go to Pandaria and the Horde to follow. So pretty much all the events in Pandaria started with him crashing on the land. After that, he got kidnapped by the Horde, from which he managed to escape himself, but later you can see him again in the Temple of the White Tiger, where he vows for both the Alliance and the Horde, for both sides. Now, at one point you need to realize, okay, this faction might not be the best faction to vow for. These are the guys that had kidnapped me and that were about to kill me or send me over to Garrosh or whatever they wanted to do with him. All kinds of bad stuff. So at one point you need to realize, okay, this is not the faction I need to vow for. But that wasn't enough. Next to him, Sunwalker Desco laughs in his face as he vows for the Horde. He laughs and he says, I wonder if you have ever met my Warchief. At that point, a little bell should go off inside your mind and it should tell you, okay, this Taran, who's part of the Horde, tells me that Garrosh is a bad guy. Maybe I shouldn't vow for him at this point. Maybe I should just say, okay, you know what, that Sacred Veil, maybe just my faction, maybe nobody at all, you know, just leave it be. But oh no, Mr. Anduin, Mr. Peace Lover, Mr. Neutral, vowed for both factions and look where it led him. It led to a destroyed Veil. Garrosh walks in, gets the heart of Yasharaj in his position, drops it in the water, kaboom, everybody dead. And who's to blame? Mr. Anduin, because he vowed for the Horde as the Celestials asked him, what should we do? So my main problem with the guy is that he's not realistic anymore, neutral for everything. And it's not that I have something against peacekeepers and peace lovers, because people like Jaina and Thrall, those are badasses, but they also loved peace. Thrall was never a pushover, right? When somebody pushed the Horde, Thrall wasn't afraid of pushing back. Jaina, she took a little bit longer, she let a little bit too much slide for my taste, but eventually, when the Horde dropped a bomb on her city, even she was ready to stand up and fight. What is going to push Anduin to become the leader as Velen has seen him in the vision? I can't imagine what it's going to be, because you might say, well, let's kill off his father, but his relationship with his father wasn't that great. Are they going to kill off Velen, the Draenei? Is that going to push him over the edge? Is Turellian perhaps going to teach him in the ways of the Paladin? I don't know, but they're going to do some crazy things with him in order to push him and make it realistic, because everything that happened before him didn't push him into the role of a fighter. So maybe nothing will, maybe he will be the neutral fighter that we know and love, or maybe something disastrous needs to happen. So yeah, as I said, my main problem with the guy is that he's just too neutral, borderline stupidity in my opinion. And who knows, maybe he will be proven right in the end, and maybe he will lead the army as Velen has seen it. I personally hope not. I personally hope that Velen has made a mistake, but that's just my opinion about this character. And if it's your favorite character, please don't let my opinion influence that. And yeah, keep liking the character. But this is what I think of Anduin Wrynn. I'm going to end this Q&A with some information about the end of the siege, so if you don't want any spoilers, please turn off the video and you won't miss a thing. I've answered all the other questions, this will purely be spoilers. I'll see you next week, thank you for watching, go! Alright, last week I talked about the end of the siege and what could possibly be the aftermath of it all. This week a couple of screenshots turned up showing the conversations that you can have with the other leaders after Garrosh is defeated. Now on the Horde side there are two very interesting conversations. The first one is with Sylvanas. She says, Warchief Vol'jin, does it sound absurd to you, Klaus? I for one certainly won't be taking orders from a troll. But he put his little coalition together and won the day. He's also proven to be impossible to kill. I admire that. Time to test what he's made of. Now this is another piece of lore pointing towards Sylvanas her ultimate goal, which is staying alive. She admires most out of Vol'jin that he's impossible to kill, which is exactly what she wants. Her nod during the end cinematic was more of an acknowledgement meant for him as, okay, you're the new Warchief, fine, but you're going to have to prove what you're worth. I'm going to do my thing, you do your thing, we'll both be Horde buddies, I'll see you next week over coffee. If you look at Lor'Vemar's conversation, he says, I find politics exhausting. I'm confident Vol'jin will take us where we need to go. Lor'Vemar glances over to Sylvanas, assuming of course he can hold his horde together. Okay, so Lor'Vemar, as already said in my Who Will Be the Warchief video, he doesn't really want to be a leader and he does it because he has to. He glances over to Sylvanas and there can be no doubt that she's the one factor currently in the Horde that might cause trouble again. The rest of the conversations, well, they're not not really important. We have Anduin agreeing with his father, the Varian saying that this can be a new beginning, Bane who's alright with everything, Gallywix who has his people secured and he sees profit on the horizon, Vol'jin who congratulates you on a job well done, and of course Thrall apologizing for his past mistakes and now putting his trust in Vol'jin. On the alliance side of the conversation we have Anduin once again agreeing with his father. We have Mekatork, leader of the gnomes, who's happy with the victory and he is going on a looting spree. And then we have Moira, who's happy that everybody's united, her people are united, everybody united. Truanda has the interesting conversation and she tells us that Varian had already informed them about his decision, which I think is a great touch. It would have been better to actually see this in game, but at least we know that Varian didn't just make a decision for everybody without considering their ideas and their opinions. He, as a true High King, involved the other alliance leaders, and since they agreed with him, I don't see the alliance breaking up anytime soon. That is of course if Miss Jaina Proudmoore doesn't do anything about it, because she says that King Rin will rue the day he allowed the Horde to name another Warchief. We should have kept fighting. Who's to say this new Warchief won't get any ideas in his troll head a few years from now, and truth be told, she's probably going to be right. Unless they keep Alliance and Horde on peace terms, which as you might know I don't see happening in World of Warcraft, well there might really come a day that King Rin will rue this day. But at least for now, he's made an effort at peace, he's made an effort to break the cycle, and time will tell what happens next in the story. Do I see Jaina going crazy and setting off a next war? Yes, I do. She wants the Horde dead. Simple as that. Unless they give her individual story where she takes off with the Kirin Tor, I see her as one of those factors, much like Sylvanas, who could start a new war. Definitely. Now with that, thank you very much for watching everyone, and once again, some excellent questions. If you have more, please send them over at ask.fm/nobble. Subscribe if you like my videos, and until next time guys, see ya!